Welcome back, everybody, to Raspberry Gaming Presents. This is our ongoing Platinum Trophy walkthrough and game guide for Cyberpunk 2077. We've already completed and we've gotten the Platinum. So this video right here is going to be tips and tricks for your gameplay and some thoughts on how to expedite getting the Platinum for you. So the biggest tip I can give you is you're probably going to have to restart your character. It's unfortunate that in Cyberpunk you can't reset your abilities. You can reset your perk points, but you can't reset your ability points. So if you make a mistake going in or wind up with a build that you're not comfortable with, your only choice is to restart, which is unfortunate because the prologue section through the introductory quest, the rescue quest, can be a little bit tedious. I played through it I think 4 times, and that's because I platinumed on the PS4 and the PS5, and I did a very hard playthrough as well, and plus a restart. So I'm very, very familiar with the beginnings of the game. And yeah, it can be somewhat problematic. Also, the game can be somewhat long, but that's to be expected if you're platining this kind of a game, open world game. I think I had somewhere close to 70 hours in one playthrough and a little over 80 on the other playthrough. It streamlines for me getting through the second time, obviously, because I knew a lot more about how to get around the game, and I wanted to share some of that information with you. If you check out a couple of my videos, you can find out where you can get a couple legendary items pretty early in the game as well that will help your playthrough. And there is a legendary weapon you can pick up in City Center, a legendary shotgun that can be found as soon as you get a chance to advance into the game out of Watson. So that'll be something to look for. Check out those videos and you'll find out where I've found those items and I show you where to get them. So the first tip about your build with your abilities, since you can't reset abilities, is to understand the minimum things you need to acquire the minimum ability scores you need to have to be able to get the platinum. In body, you have to get to a 16 because there is a cyberware piece you need, a second heart, that you can only equip when you have a 16 in your body. The next score is either you need an 18 in technical ability or 20 in intelligence. My advice would be to go plan on getting the 20 in intelligence for 2 reasons. It levels the fastest by far in the perks. The quick hacks, you can quick hack all the vending machines. And if you're doing a big brain build, the intelligence build, for example, if you followed my build on the PS5, you're going to be throwing down a lot of quick hacks, but they're all over the place and all over the game. So it's easy to do, get a lot of points in your quick hacking, and that'll allow you to get the 10 of 10 trophy, which otherwise will be pretty grindy if you're trying to do it with, let's say, shotguns or blades or rifles, pistols, some kind of combat ability, combat perk, melee weapons or ranged weapons. It becomes quite grinding. You're going to be spending a lot of time grinding those up unnecessarily when you can just pick the intelligence build and get there a lot easier. The other thing about having a high intelligence score, it allows you to more easily get the 3-for-1 trophy for detonating a grenade and killing 3 enemies with it. So that is a big deal as well. So that's most of what I can advise you on the platinum build and how to get to the platinum trophy optimally with your ability scores. So take a look at that. As a reminder, 16 in body and 20 in intelligence is what advice. There's enough extra points you can get to 18 in reflexes if you want. There's not a whole lot of point in building up your technical ability. You can still craft even at a low level. You just can't craft high level weapons, but you can buy them, you can find them, and you don't necessarily need them. In my opinion, the best weapon long term in the game that you're going to get the most use out of is the smart shotgun, and that you can buy in City Center at the weapons dealer there, and that will carry you all the way through to the end game. You'll see in my platinum run and in my very hard, that's the weapon I used all the time. I think it's the best weapon in the game. Smart weapons are great. You don't have to target with them. And shotguns have a huge aiming square. They'll hit anything in the target reticle, which makes killing large masses of enemies a lot easier. In a shotgun, some people think the legendary shotgun is good, but it's a 2-shot with a 2 reload. Unlike the smart shotgun, which is 8 shots and it reloads the whole cartridge at once. So you can get a lot more shots out of it and a lot quicker reload, especially if you take the perks for speeding up your reload. So that is, I guess, 2 tips in one there. One about the abilities, one about the weapons on how to build. And since you're building up your body, another thing that you'll want to do to help increase your body scores is be careful about picking up access cards. I would advise that when you're on a particular quest, not to pick up the access cards that are associated with that and just try to force open the doors. That builds up your body score and your athletic score much faster than anything else will. And if you pick up the access cards, it automatically uses them to open doors. So you lose that opportunity to gain that experience. So it's something you want to be careful about doing. So early on in the game in Watson, you'll want to clear everything you can in Watson. There is a platinum trophy associated with getting all the NCPD hustles and cyber psychos done in those areas, plus the gigs. So before you get to the heist, you should clear the entirety of Watson. You'll wind up at a level somewhere between 13 and 17, depending on how you play it and how much killing you do and how much hacking you do, things like that. So that is recommendation that you do that. And then one of the areas you may want to visit, because you'll be at the appropriate level after you complete the heist, if you head out to the Badlands and do the NCPD assaults and the hustles and gigs out there, that's a good place to start because there's a lot of skill shards that are rewards for completing those items out there in the Badlands. And that'll help accelerate your leveling up. One of the things I did, not right away, but pretty quickly in the game, and once I recognized that there was a lot of skill shards there, I spent a lot of time out there. Additionally, it's a big area, so if you want to work on your athletic skill, spending a lot of time sprinting around out in the Badlands, there isn't a lot of obstacles, so it's pretty easy to do. You can build up some athletics that way. It's only 75 points of experience, so it's a little bit slow to do, and there's faster ways to do it. So if you want to do it, and I did it that way, that's fine. But my advice would be is to, when you're in the Badlands, just to drive. It gets things done quicker, unless you want to spend a lot of time in game traveling from point to point. When you're out there in the Badlands working on things, you'll definitely want to be driving around. The other thing you want to do is, if you're spending a lot of time driving, I would highly advise doing on a motorcycle rather than a car. Motorcycles are much more maneuverable. You're less likely to get into accidents. It's a lot easier to navigate traffic as well. So all those make it a lot easier. And I found it easier, especially when you're in the first person view on the vehicle, to be traveling on the motorcycle. Is your view is a lot less obstructed than you are in a vehicle. So I found it much easier and much more enjoyable to be traveling around on a motorcycle rather than in a car or a truck or something else if you want. So if you're going to do that, take the motorcycle. So a lot of times when you're playing, there's statuses, there's symbols in the upper left-hand corner that you may not be sure what they all mean. A easy way to check status on the PlayStation system is just to hold down the triangle. That way you get a weapon wheel, but you also get all the statuses that are going on and an explanation of what they are. So I highly advise using the triangle button, holding it down to understand what the statuses are until you understand what all the symbols are, if you have questions about them, and getting through to the end. The other thing is if you're running around in town, cars can't kill you. You can get hit by them and it knocks you down and it slows you up for a minute, but you can't ever get killed by being run over by a car or hit by a car. So I would say don't worry about it. Run on the wrong side of the street, cross the highways, doesn't matter. There's not a whole lot of risks through that. And while you're running around, just run through the NPCs. Unless they are a potential combatant, like the police or somebody else with the yellow triangles over their head, they're not going to stop you. Just run through them. You'll hear about something, they'll make some offhand comment, but just blow through them. Also with vehicles, don't forget when you're in the passenger is to be tapping out on that circle button. That way you'll get to the destination quicker as soon as the conversation stops. That's true for everybody except for Dex early in the game, Dexter Deshawn. You can't do anything about speeding up that travel, but almost every other travel that you're doing, if you're doing with Pan Am or with Judy or with almost anybody else in the game, River Ward, you will definitely be able to speed up the travel by hitting that circle button, jumping ahead. And then speaking of perks as well, when you're looking at the perk screen, usually you can only see the first 11 perk upgrades on the bottom left-hand corner, designated by which ones you've earned and what level you are. So when you get to 11, you're like, well, how can I figure out what the rest are? Because it doesn't automatically keep pace with your level. So if you move your cursor down there and then move the thumbstick either to the right or to the left, you can scroll forward or backwards along that line, perk line, and you can see what the benefits are of the higher level perks in the game. So those are some of my basic tips to help you get through on the platinum. Please follow the video guides that I put out. There's definitely some key points where you want to make some saves in the game so that you can revisit certain actions and get some options that'll help you and to prevent you from missing out and having to replay the game, especially at the ending, because there's 4 endings. I show you all 4, but it pays to have a couple of save points during some of those so that you can gather all the ending points without having to play through the ending chapters again. The game does allow you to restart from before the point of no return, but I advise you to make a save much later in the point of no return so you don't have to play through all that part again. There's some key points of where you want to make saves. So you definitely want to do that. So there you have it. Those are my tips and tricks for helping you get on platinum. Oh, and one bonus one I should remind everybody about. There is not a trophy associated with the difficulty level in the game, so you can play it on easy, by the way. If you're really just looking to enjoy the game and to get the platinum in an easy manner, play it on easy for sure. If you play it on very hard, you can get there too, and usually be strong enough by the time, if you follow my advice on clearing Watson fully, by the time you get to the heist, you'll be in great shape to finish the game on very high or very hard. You can be very high too, I guess, if you want to play this game too, right? There's not a problem with that. And I guess, yeah, as a second bonus, you don't need to really glitch anything in this game. I do show you a couple of money glitches and some item glitches, but by the end of the game, even though you have to spend 1.7 million eddies buying cars, I wound up at the end of the game with a couple of million extra in eddies. It's just the way it works in the game. So don't worry about glitching out things, getting money early. You'll do plenty fine. Understand the build, go with the intelligence build, pick a weapon that you like. My advice would be to have a tech rifle, sniper rifle, so you can shoot through walls, have a smart shotgun, and then when you get the chance, get the monowire or get the katana from the heist, the epic katana, and that'll make those combat situations go easier. I didn't find a whole lot of use for pistols. I really didn't. I leveled pistols just for the extra perk points, but not something I would go through. I didn't do a stealth build. This game gives you that option, but you don't really need it, and it's pretty hard to stealth through most of the game. Unless you're running a Sandvistan build and can slow down time, then you can blast through so much stuff anyways. So there you have it. Hope you enjoy the game. Don't forget to friend and follow us on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated if you would. And we will catch you next time. Take care and be safe out there.